Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. Well, while you're here, welcome to the Trophy Trust, a weekly podcast for PlayStation trophy hunters. I'm one of your hosts, The Dazil. Joining me on this lovely warm summer's day, we have the Vectronic,
Hello.
and we also have B-Tips.
Hello.
A good weekend to you, gentlemen. Currently, I said it was a nice summer's day. I lied. I'm actually really warm in this room. I had to close all the doors and windows, for sound reasons when you're recording. So it's very hot. There's no airflow. So I'm slowly dying, and I don't have the benefit of having air conditioning. We don't really do sort of home air conditioning here in the UK because we only get about 2 weeks of like hot weather, air quotations, hot weather by our standards. So nobody has air conditioning in their home, at least speaking in averages. So we just have to suffer it, and I'm suffering right now. So we're gonna make this a kind of quicker one. There's the three of us in this episode, so we're just going to bang through it and see what we get talking about. So, guys, let's have a little chat about what we've been playing recently. So, I tell you what, just as a change of pace, I'm going to start this one off because I've only got two things to talk about, so I might as well get them out of the way. Yes, indeed. So, Detroit Become Human. I got the platinum for it yesterday.
Nice.
And I have to say, thank you. I have to say, it's I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely one of Quantic Dream's better games, if not probably their best game of that that genre of game in the last couple of years. It's sci-fi, so it's right up my alley. I love the whole androids and are they really alive? Kind of like philosophical questions that the game raises. And from a trophy hunter point of view, it was definitely more simple than say Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, for example. It has loads of different endings, but basically, each sort of scene that happens is more or less two outcomes. For the trophies, there's two trophies per almost every chapter. Like for two outcomes, there's more than two outcomes in most chapters, but there's only two required for each trophy. And there's also one for keeping all the characters alive to the very end. I played it pretty friendly. Didn't really take many sort of risks that would get my characters killed. So, I pretty much got all my characters living to the end. I only required to jump back one chapter to get the Survivor's Trophy, which is the name of the trophy you get for surviving all the way to the end. The collectibles are not too much of a pain in the ass, to be honest. The collectibles, they do spawn in the same places, but what they are, they're magazines. And depending on how you've played the story, the news articles in the collectible magazines change depending on how the story's flowing. So they count as separate collectible. So a magazine that spawns, for example, in this bench in this chapter will be different if you play the game in a certain way. So it counts as two separate collectibles. So you have to go back and alter your timeline to make it spawn the other magazine. So that's a bit annoying, but at least I didn't have to watch all the endings like I had to do with Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, which was excellent. So yeah, in terms of trophy hunting, it's definitely a more straightforward game. You guys got any questions about the game?
Well,
I'm excited to play it. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, well, it is definitely a really good game. It's got some superb acting in it as well, motion capture, the voice acting, the performance capture. Some really lovable characters in it, and I really cared about the characters all the way up to the end. There's some real getting choked up at some of the scenes. It's really emotional. I hate to play into the David Cage memes of emotion, but it was really good. I liked it. I know a lot of people tend to shit on Quantic Dream games and David Cage and all of that. Not that I'm defending. I'm pretty neutral in the whole sort of Quantic Dream situation, but I liked it. Were you going to say anything, Beck?
I was gonna say because I've never played a David Cage game before, so this is gonna be interesting. Looking into this in a newbie point of view in terms of David Cage games. I really like the concept and the idea. I wonder how you think it fares compared to other Quantum Dream games, because you say it's the best in terms of everything, but how do you consider it to be compared to everything else, as a standalone story? How do you see
compared to what? Compared to previous games, or just games in general?
Games in general is I guess.
Right, well, games in general. Let's say if you're looking for a game that's got like action and shooting and where you've got like full control of the character, this is not really the game. This isn't a game like that. Like you can move a character around. It's like most people have played the TellTale game. Okay, it's like that in terms of like controlling the character. There's no like inventory, no like weapons, no character customization, nothing in depth like that. It's like here's a scene, here's a character. You move around, you interact with like evidence or items or people, NPCs, whatnot within the scene, and then the action is QTEs, button presses and quickly and within time, and so you don't fail. Like, so yeah, I mean, most people have an understanding of Telltale, and it's basically that. If I had to sort of break it down to explain to a newcomer to the series, so it's not like full control of the character at all times. So it does feel like more like a interactive experience. I mean, I know games are all an interactive experience anyway, but it's more hands off. There's two settings for the game. You've got experienced or I can't remember what the other one is, but it's like more casual. So basically, it simplifies the button input. So if you're not even that good at video games, you don't have like the quick reflexes or whatnot of say like the twitch reflexes of like someone who's really good at Call of Duty or something like that, for example. It just simplifies them. So I tried the two different modes, and yeah, it is way simpler. So like during a fight scene where you have to defend yourself, instead of it being like moving different directions of the analog stick, for example, or twitching the triggers, it's just basically X and circle the whole time, just back and forth. So it's really simplified, and I would honestly recommend playing on that mode because from a trophy hunter point of view, it's beneficial to your time to basically get everyone surviving all the way to the end of the game on your first run, because it requires a lot of backtracking to the chapters where particular characters die, because you have to keep them alive. So you go back, and there's no chapter when it comes to saving characters or progressing the story in a certain way. It's not like you can just hop back to the chapter where your character died, change it, then hop back to the end. You have to play from that chapter onwards to the end for the effects to take course. So yeah, if you try and get everyone alive in your first playthrough, that would be very beneficial to you in being most efficient. So just to go back to what you were saying, Beck, it's a casual experience. I feel that most people can play this game and enjoy it. It's got a good story to it. It doesn't bamboozle you with like really heavy sci-fi. There's nothing like it's not as deep as say like Westworld in terms of like the human psyche, ghost in the machine, that kind of stuff. It's just like, here's androids, they look like humans, they behave like humans. Where do they land in terms of like, are they alive? Are they just machines that look like us? It just the kind of like the top level of that kind of genre of sci-fi. You don't need to be reading like Isaac Asimov's like 3 Laws and iRobot and like all kinds of short stories like that to kind of like really appreciate. You can just go in and be like, I like sci-fi, I don't mind it. I'm not going to get confused by like terminology and stuff in it. So that's basically how I would describe it.
Oh,
is that enough for you, Beck?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Does that cover all the bases?
Yeah, and also
okay.
Like as Sin perfectly pointed out, he says that it was inspired by the Kara demo. That was a visual demo. I mean, it's a tech demo that was shown in, I think it's E3, and it was called Kara. And it was about this, you see this female robot becoming alive in some way, and she's getting built, and you see her getting built. I actually saw this, so I actually recommend anyone who hasn't watched the Kara tech demo to actually go ahead and watch it. It's very good, it's very entertaining, and you'll get emotional. I'm not sure if you guys saw this pointed out. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, B-Tips, you go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I've seen the demo, and I honestly thought it was pretty good. I honestly didn't think they would make the game based on, like, I think going into it, they weren't planning on making a game based around that design, like that kind of concept. But I guess David Cage just,
ambitious.
I guess he saw that everyone liked it so much that he just decided to go with it.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very basic concept of very basic outline really of Detroit in general. Like, it's obviously been fleshed out since, but the sort of like what defines life, like, humans are alive, humans are organic, but androids, they're like, when you break down, I don't want to get like philosophical here on a trophy
No.
podcast, but like it's basically like we're like chemical electrical beings, machines just like electrical beings, but like where is life? What defines life? And that's kind of what that demo was touching upon, and it was fleshed out into Detroit. And I'm just looking here in the podcast chat, and Perfect Sin is asked if you could, what would I give it out of 10? Or I don't know really. I guess maybe like an 8 out of 10, 8.5. Like, it's not perfect. There's some plenty of frustrating moments in terms of like controlling the characters. Like I said, it's like a TellTale game. You have a scene and there's sort of like set camera angles, and sometimes it's hard to get your character to go like upstairs in some situations, sometimes to turn a corner. In some situations the camera changes quickly and your character ends up turning back the way they came because you're holding the analog stick down, assuming they're going to continue walking forward, but then they just spin around and come back. And to investigate what's in a scene or what you can interact with, you hold down the R trigger and it goes into kind of like detective mode. All the scene freezes, you can rotate the camera around your character and see what you've got to interact with. But sometimes it kind of like interrupts the flow of a scene. It's not like mid-cut scene. It's like it just pauses everything so you can spin around and see what you can do next. And I don't know, it kind of like breaks the immersion a little bit, but it's also cool because it's like detective mode, so you can like analyze everything. So yeah, it's okay. It's a good game. It is a good game. I definitely recommend it for sure. If you like the previous David Cage Quantic Dream games, you will like this. If not, I say take a punt on it and give it a go.
Okay.
Anyway, I've rambled on long enough about
Exactly.
Detroit. Yeah, sorry about that. And today I started Cat Quest. I picked that up because I wanted something fun and cartoony and different to play after something sort of serious and like grounded or whatever it is, Detroit, So I thought, oh, something funny and goofy. And I've only played about maybe 2 hours of it, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm not a huge fan of RPGs, but it's RPG light. It's very, very simple RPG systems and mechanics in it. It's just lovely visual style, kind of 2.5D. Everything's like looks like it's hand drawn. But it's on a perspective of like an angled perspective of the whole land. So it's like, if you remember, I said on Twitter earlier today, it reminds me of like Mario Kart and F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, where it's kind of like trick 3D. So it looks like everything's 3D, but it's kind of not. It's sort of hard to describe. But
it's the FS.
I'm really liking it.
FX chip. What was it called? I'm trying to remember the actual like name of the actual technique. I may have to check it up, but I'll get to the bit. Yeah, I know what you're referring to. It was something that they used for 3D, not fake 3D, but like a way to see if it's like 3D. I have to check.
Yeah, utilize it in like Star Fox and stuff, where it's like not. It is 3D. It looks 3D. It's like kind of like the way kind of like old Doom is, where it's not like where like everything is kind of flat, while the environment is 3D. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit as well. I'm talking about the technique, not like the content. But anyway, I'm going on. I can't really say too much about Cat Quest. I'm really, really enjoying it. A lot of people on Twitter seem to really, really dig about it. It's getting a lot of positivity back about it. And they announced a sequel coming this week as well, which is basically more of the same, but it looks like it has which looks really cool. So maybe I'll pick that up in future if I enjoy it when I get to the end of Cat Quest. It seems like an easy platinum as well. I've read the guide. It's like a 12-hour, 2 out of 10 platinum. Just no missables. Just do the main quest, do all the side quests as you discover them, and that's about it, really. Just sort of standard kind of RPG layout, really. Nothing too difficult. Just level up, and that's it.
I just remembered. It's called parallax scrolling.
Yes, indeed. I do remember that term now.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of like a trick, a kind of like visual trick to make it look like it's 3D, and a lot of late SNES games did utilize that.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, that's enough of me talking. Please tell us what you've been up to recently. You still playing Neo?
I'm still trying to get back into Neo, but mostly I've just been playing a lot of Fallout Shelter and a lot of Fortnite Battle Royale.
Okay, cool.
Mostly Fallout Shelter though, because that game is easily like I log in for about an hour like every day. Just to check up on my dwellers, send them on quests, get, money and supplies and all that.
Cool. Are you going for the platinum on that?
Yeah, I'm not doing the exploit where apparently you can just like skip days.
Yeah.
You're doing it legit.
I'm doing it legit. I'm just
cool.
I don't even know how the exploit works, to be totally honest, and I didn't really look too much into it. I enjoyed the game a lot when I played it, both on the mobile phone and on Steam. So I'm just letting it go. I'm just letting the platinum come to me naturally.
Okay.
That's cool. I have to say though, my interest in Fallout Shelter is sort of starting to falter a little bit. As I've mentioned before, I'm playing it on Switch, so I'm not really bothered about trophies. I'm just playing it casual and handheld. I'll pick it up for about 10 minutes a day, do what you're doing, V-Tips, and just like check dwellers, check what's going on, and that's it. And, I was playing a little bit of it actually before we started recording the podcast, and I sent a dweller out on a quest, and I ended up dying in basically like the final room, and then having to. And this was the first quest I've actually properly done and died on. So I thought, oh, you click revive, you pay caps to revive, and I thought, oh, it's just going to put me back in the room. Well, no, basically it puts you back at the beginning of the quest. So I was just like, fuck this, and I just returned to the vault, and yeah, that's basically like killed my interest in the game. Basically, I'm just gonna concentrate on the vault. I'm not, like I said, I'm not really bothered about the game. I'll probably get bored of it in another couple of weeks and end up deleting it anyway. So
Yeah.
that's when I played it on iPad. I was into it for about 2 weeks, and then I got bored and deleted it. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna get it, let's get it on Switch. There's no trophy list. There's no like black mark on my PSN profile of like a 0% or 1% trophy list that I can't erase. So I was like, Switch. Let's just play on Switch just for lols, you know.
I just mentioned about the quests. I also been playing Fallout Shelter, but I had also died in one of my quests. It was against some feral ghouls, and I died. I had two people with radioactive suits to protect themselves, and when they died, I thought, oh, I'm gonna lose all the stim packs. I gave them all 25 of them, but no, they keep the level ups and the what was it called, the stim packs they lost. So they don't actually. You can restart by paying a couple of caps, redoing it, and you don't lose any of it. So you can basically go around the same area, check whatever room, see what rooms are determined where the objective is, do it, and then leave, because that's all you have to do. Just complete the objective, and sometimes it sparses around the actual same building, so it takes a while. It's something to point out just in case.
Right, so anything else? B-Tips?
No, that's really it. I've just like, it's like you said. I only log on for about an hour, and I just clear everything up. It's not really a game I can really sit there and play for any more than an hour. So.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. It does get a little boring because you have to wait for things to happen, and it can kind of make it a little dull sometimes. But anyway, Vic, how about you then?
Well, as I just previously said, I was playing more Fallout Shelter. I just basically, I'm so close to the platinum, I just need to do the raiders, which is a pain in the ass. So, in the case for anyone who's trying to do the raiders, my suggestion is keep your dweller count to at least 20, 25, 30. Try not to go over 50 until you get all the 50 raiders done. And try to level up your dwellers as such. Or if you're like me and just do another vault completely new and complete them all at the same time without any repercussions. And since I'm time skipping, basically it makes it so much easier and faster to get all of the dwellers, running in, running out, eliminating all sense of purchasing stuff online. So it's a pain in the ass. So just getting all 50 raiders it's just a roadblock to a perfectly easy platinum. So B-Tips, you had a question about the time skipping. You don't know how the method works, or?
No, I mean, I heard of an exploit that allows you to get the platinum a lot faster online. I just didn't know how it was done. I think it has to do with going into your PS4's in-game clock and just setting it a day later. Just because it when you set the in-game clock a day later, it actually progresses the game by a day in the game. So
Exactly.
Like quests will be done faster, and resources will be done faster. So
Yeah, that's how the general purpose. Though, although you can't do it online, you have to first of all take away the set the clock as the internet. I just connect to the internet. So if you're connected to the internet, disable the function to set up via the internet, and then go to the manual clock and set your clock on manual and change the date on how many hours or days you require for get certain stuff to pass. So it's much easier to, instead of waiting, you can basically skip the clock ahead. Although there's some repercussions when skipping ahead the clock and going back online. The timers don't reset when you connect back online, and it acts as it requires you to go until that day to do so. So let's say if you're one day ahead, and then change the clock a day ahead, and then you go back and connect online and reset the clock so it's back a day earlier, the standard day. The timers then get glitched, and then you have to wait an entire day for all the timers to go back to normal. So
basically what Vic's trying to say is, like, if you set it a day forward, you have to constantly setting it from that point onwards. Like, the game gets confused, so you can't just skip a day then come back to the regular time again.
Exactly.
You have to keep going forward. You can't come back.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Exactly.
nothing catches up. That's basically it. So if you're going to use the exploit and skip it days and days and days, you just got to keep going forward until, like, you're in next year, the year after, how many is you got to skip. You just can't come back to the regular time.
I went to the
yeah. So Vic,
I went to 2019, so. What were you gonna
so what
ask?
else, Vic? What else you been playing?
Oh no, that's just been in. Not been playing that much lately. Just only Fallout Shelter, mainly just because it's an easy 1 hour go back in and out, and the rest I've been just been working on some other stuff in the background. So that should be all it, really.
All right, then, cool. Then I guess that's the end of what we've been playing this week. So why don't we just roll on to the news? And Vic, being our news anchor, why don't you introduce the stories and tell us a little bit about them?
Okay, so thank you, B-Tips, for reminding me to list it out, but I didn't put this in the original list. The new PS Plus games for July 2018 have been revealed. We're gonna skip this right over because we got a couple of stories we want to talk about besides this. So, for PS4, we have Absolver and Heavy Rain. Absolver is a multiplayer online game. It requires a single player, multiplayer, and co-op trophies to be unlocked. It's a very rare platinum to behold, but it has a platinum. Then we have Heavy Rain, which is the another Quantum Dream going back to PS Plus. It will only be for PS4. Sorry, PS3 users, you cannot have this game anymore. But this is Heavy Rain, which has the multiple branching storylines, which you have to complete in order to get the platinum. It is a very interesting story. My recommendation is to play this blindly and then go back at it. On PS3, we have Deception 4, The Nightmare Princess, and Rayman 3 HD. It was listed as Rayman HD, but don't be confused. It is the Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc from the PS2 ported on the PS3. It only has a standard 100% trophy list, and that should be it. On Vita, we have Space Overlords and Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma. The latter is a visual novel game based on a murder mystery game in which it's a sequel to 9 Rooms, 9 Doors, 9 Keys, 9 Doors, and 9 People, which you have. It's a DS game, but this is the sequel to it. But you don't actually have to play it because it sums up the events prior to that. So that should be all the PS Plus games for July 2018. Any questions?
Quite excited to play Heavy Rain again. That's all I'm going to say.
No, nothing from me. None of that interests me anyway. So let's just move on.
Okay, so moving on, we have some couple of stories that we may just go over. So starting off, we have a new update on Fallout 76. So people have been clamoring about crossplay between other consoles, not only PS4 users to other PS4 users, but with Xbox and PC. So when the came a question to Fortnite, it also came and brought about with Fallout 76. Now, for those of you who don't know, that Fallout 76 is an online-only Fallout game, which basically you have to be online always to play this game. So, in the case of Fallout 76, they just reported that the crossplay will not be available across any of the systems. So if you want to play with other PC users as a PS4 member, no, I'm sorry, you cannot play this. What do you guys think about this new announcement?
I think it's pretty kind of like poopy on Sony's part. I mean, going back to the Fortnite thing real quick, I tried playing Fortnite on my Nintendo Switch when it came out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't link my Sony account to the Switch because it was locked to my PlayStation. So
Ouch.
I couldn't carry any of the progress from my PlayStation Fortnite to Switch Fortnite, which was kind of dumb. I mean, I can understand the kind of like thing when it comes to like not allowing crossplay between like Xbox and stuff because you want to be a competitive thing, but I don't really endorse the fact that my Fortnite account or my Epic account, I should say, to the system itself.
Yeah,
Like,
it being a third-party account, not owned by Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, that's what's rubbing people up the wrong way. Particularly, is because it's not like saying like, oh, why can't I sign into PSN on my Xbox or PSN on my Switch to get my games over? It's just like, why can't I sign in on this third-party Epic account, which has all of my gear on it, into this third-party game, which is available on all systems? And yeah, people have been getting pretty mad over this, and I guess it's just going to continue. Like with more multiplayer games being announced, I think this may be like always the question going forward.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty much the same way. It's pretty much the same way with Fallout 76 to me, because it's like, I mean, if people obviously you don't want to crossplay with Nintendo or Xbox because the competitive thing, like I said, but the fact that you can't crossplay with PC like any other console it's kind of. I mean, Sony has exclusive games and that's great, but the fact that you can't really like play with other like consoles is kind of like ruining the experience for other players.
Yeah, indeed. And it's just not helping anyone. It's just riling up the fans. Like every single time I look at an official PlayStation announcement or tweet, it's just the replies section is just filled with people angry about this. So it's just not helping anyone. So I wonder what will they do after. So moving on, let's talk about the Crash Insane trilogy. So for those of you who don't know, right now you can get a free download for the new Crash Warped DLC, which is called Future Tense. It includes two silver trophylets. It is a free DLC at the moment. No hints at a price point just yet. So even if you don't own the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy at the moment, my suggestion is go ahead and buy the actual DLC while it's already free. So, what do you guys think about the new DLC?
Yeah, that's it's akin to I can't remember what it was called, but it's like the lost levels from the very first Crash Bandicoot game. Slippery Climb was the name of the level, but it was a prototype level.
Stormy Ascent.
Stormy Ascent. That's it. We said it at the same time. Stormy Ascent was like a level that was removed from the original Crash Bandicoot PS1 game because it was deemed like too difficult. But it was remade in the Insane trilogy and added in as initially at first as free DLC added into the first game. And the same here is with Future Tense. I don't know the story behind it. I haven't read into it, but basically it's just a new difficult level set in the future level, like one of the future themed levels from Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. I actually watched a video of it earlier this morning of someone playing it. I think it was an IGN video, and yeah, it looks okay. It looks a little tricky. There's some parts towards the end of the level which are, even the person playing it died. Like they were doing really well all the way through. They didn't die once until this one part right at the end, which looked pretty pretty tricky to get through. So it looks fine. And as Vec was saying, I mean, it's free DLC. So if you own the game, claim it. If you think you're going to own the game in the future, just get on your consoles now and claim it. And it came out on Xbox as well earlier this week, and Nintendo Switch as well. That exclusivity is over now for PS4, and other people will now get to enjoy it. And honestly, I said on Twitter, I would actually consider the Insane Trilogy again for Switch further down the line. Not anytime soon, maybe not even this year, just down the line when it's a little bit cheaper. I find it pre-owned or it's in a sale on the eShop or something. I'd be happy to pick it up again because I love those games. I love getting the platinum for them free games back on PS4. Childhood memories galore. Love them. So I would happily play them again. I won't be getting 100% completion on Switch. I'll just be playing them casual like I used to do as a kid, just enjoying them for what they are. So yeah, more Crash Bandicoot was perfect.
So apparently it's a completely new level. There's no level like stacked upon it. So there's no cut content or anything. It's just a plain new level after what a couple of years since it came out. They have, a couple platforming Crash Bandicoot games. So yeah, if it's anything to be happy about, it's a new level for free. So my suggestion is to go ahead and pick it out. So let's move on again to another story real quick. Let's talk about EA for a moment. It's nothing about EA as a company, but someone that left. For those of you who don't know, Amy Hennig is a ex-writer for Naughty Dog, and she, I think, wrote and directed the Uncharted trilogy and the Vita game Uncharted Golden Abyss, as well as worked on the Legacy of Kain games and among other games like Jak 3. But the main story is that she has now left EA. She was contracted, I think, for the the new Star Wars, I think, 1313 game or single-player campaign game that was inspired by or was drafted upon like a Uncharted game, like in a Star Wars setting. And she has now left to make her own studio.
That was quite a few years ago, wasn't it, when they showed a little sort of slice of Star Wars 1313, and it was kind of like Uncharted meets Star Wars.
Exactly.
There was like climbing and sort of cover-based combat, and then 1313 got cancelled or canned or shelved or what have you when Disney acquired Star Wars, and then they gave the gaming license, the video game license to EA, and Amy Hennig went over. She left Naughty Dog, and she went over to that, and she started working on that Star Wars game, that kind of third-person, story-based Star Wars action game that we saw a very, very small glimpse of at one E3 a few years ago, and everyone was, including myself, was very hyped for it. And we don't need to tell you how EA's been treating the Star Wars license recently. It's not been great. It's been pretty shambolic, in my opinion. And she's up and left, and they say they're working on a new Star Wars game, of that nature, like a third-person story, single player. But I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm done with Star Wars games. Like, they've had plenty of opportunities to push out really good games, but they just seem to be focusing on Battlefront and just loot and crates and all that shit. And I just don't care anymore. I'm just done with it. So, I'm in the field of the field of thought that the license should have been given to everyone. Like, we should have had loads of different developers trying their hand at everything. It would have been awesome if different publishers and different developers tried their hand in what they're good at, but make it Star Wars themed. And I know that obviously that wouldn't. That sounds like it would be too much Star Wars, but I mean, like, take your time and really work on it. Loads of people, millions of people love Star Wars. Really passionate people could have made some really good Star Wars games. It's just been kept to EA, and I don't know. I don't have any hope for whatever this Star Wars game is. And now Amy Hennig's left, so she's got those writing chops from, like you said, like Vex said. The Legacy of Kain games. She worked on the Uncharted games. It's not like though what she brought to those games would have been awesome in a Star Wars game. And if it was going to be like 1313, no promises, guarantees it was, but it could have been along those lines. Probably would have been awesome. So I don't know.
I have a question.
Really, I don't really know anymore.
I have a question, Daz. What do you think it was the best Star Wars game like that you thought was like that? personally, I would think Force Unleashed. I think the 1 and 2, both games were really good for what they were. But I want to know what you think about the Star Wars licenses in terms of games.
My favorite Star Wars game is the first Force Unleashed. I really, really, really like that game because coming from playing games like hack and slash games, enjoying games like God of War and all of that, which the second game pretty much ripped off in terms of like a force rage meter and having dual wielding lightsabers. And just saying it now, I didn't like the second game. I thought it was hot trash. It was crap. So, but the first game was really good. I really liked the customization of the character, the lightsaber crystals. I love the story. The choices you could make to be like light or dark, the character of Starkiller. It was just really interesting. He was like torn between the light side and the dark, the calls and the calls of the rebellion and the Empire. And it was set during that time where the Empire is growing and becoming more powerful, and you could see them, factory, and you poured Star Destroyer out of the sky. Like it's such an awesome game. Like I know it isn't the best. Like really like a great game. A lot of people don't, but I thought it was really good and I enjoyed it and I platinumed it, and it was a pretty hard platinum, but it was good. It's just a shame they rushed the second one. The second one just feels like such a cash in. Like it's only got like, was it like 4 or 5 levels in it, and it's like mainly just loads of pre-rendered cutscenes as well.
And
two was not great.
I liked 2. It was a really good like Star Wars game in terms of gameplay, but in story, I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was the best, but I thought it ran well for what it was trying to go for. But it just felt the pacing wasn't that good. But B-Tips, do you have anything to say about the Star Wars license in terms of games or stuff?
I watched all the movies, and my dad really put me into Star Wars growing up, but I haven't really played anything game-wise. Like, so many people recommended like Knights of the Old Republic to me and encouraged me to play Battlefront when that first came out, like the older Battlefront games.
Mm-hmm.
But the only real Star Wars game I ever picked up was Force Unleashed for the PS3, and I never played the second one, but I did enjoy everything that I played on Force Unleashed 1. I beat it. I considered going for Platinum, but it just never happened. But aside from that, I'm kind of with like Daz, where it's just I feel like Star Wars games really don't need to be this kind of like thing anymore. I mean, the movies are fine and all, but it just feels like when they're in the hands of game developers, they're either half-hearted or just there's just no fucking. I'm sorry. There's just no passion behind them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's definitely been made like we don't like I said. We've spoken about it loads of times. Just if you enjoy Battlefront, good for you. But it's just not. It's just not how I imagined Star Wars games were going to be going forward. And it's just the way it is. I want more single player experiences, and EA are just not interested in making the single player stuff. They just want the online, the multiplayers, the getting everyone in, the cosmetics, loot boxes, all that kind of stuff. It's just the way the business is going. So I don't know.
Play Republic Commando. Play Republic Commando. That's a good PC game.
Anyway, enough Star Wars. What's the next one? What's the next news piece?
Okay, so now we're going back to another, story-based heavy company, TellTale Games. So they just recently announced that after the series finale or final season of The Walking Dead, they're gonna scrap their entire engine and gonna start a new one. This is amazing because I don't know about you guys, but I hate the engine that they use. I hate it so much.
Well, the reputation of the engine actually precedes the games themselves. I mean,
exactly.
The engine has been running on that engine for since Jurassic Park or Back to the Future.
Sam and Max.
Oh, really? As far back as Sam and
Max from the PC, and they reworked that same engine all over again. Stop!
It got a nice visual overhaul when they announced Batman, and when they did, was it Last Frontier for Walking Dead?
It's basically just season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave it a visual overhaul, which looked nice. It ran pretty well in like Batman and all that, but it's still not free of its glitches. I mean, I've seen loads of screenshots of really bizarre things happening, like saying Batman. Like for me, Batman season 1 and 2 were both, like 2 especially, was really stable. I don't recall any problems or any freezes with it. So it was obviously improved, but it's reached its limit now, and they're moving over to Unity, which is what, like, Life is Strange, for example, runs on. So obviously the engine can do Life is Strange, which is very similar style of a video game to like the TellTale games. So, and I think Unity is just more accessible and easier to develop for, and tons of games run on Unity now. So why not?
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie. The idea of it being on Unity is pretty exciting to me. But I look back on some of the games that actually ran on the previous engine, like the Walking Dead engine and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like Minecraft Story Mode was another Telltale game that I honestly didn't think ran on the same engine, since you honestly can't tell in like a Minecraft setting. But just if it was anything like the first Walking Dead season 1 ran amazing. Like I can't really tell you if I had any bugs or slowdowns or anything like that. Season 2 was an okay game, and it had problems, but season 3, like Minecraft, and it feels like all of their newer games just have these just weird bugs and glitches, and people not appear.
You said that season 1 ran amazingly. Did you ever play the PS Vita version?
I did not. I only played I've only played like the Xbox 360 version. Then I moved over to the PS4 version.
Yeah, I played the Vita version of season 1 of Walking Dead, and man,
Anyway.
I remember
chuggy, long loading screens. Man, it's the worst.
I just remember playing. I remember playing season 1 of Batman, and there were so many times where I cringed because Bruce Wayne would be talking to someone, and then his neck would snap 360 degrees,
Yeah, I remember
just facing the other way.
Yeah, I remember that scene. That happened to me as well. That's when he's talking to someone on a bridge, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it
it was Commissioner Gordon, I think.
Yeah, and his neck is like really unnaturally rotated.
He was looking away from Gordon into the street while his entire body was facing the other way.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really creepy moment.
Anyways,
anyway,
can you
any
guess?
more news?
Can you guess what? No, I'm gonna continue this a bit more. Can you guess which engine they're switching this time?
Well, we just said we were just talking about it.
No, but
Unity.
Unity. Like, why Unity? It's just gonna do like hopefully no Unity. What's it called? Flip asset flipping. But let's carry on with our final one. And this is a kind of a left field because this story came out last night. But anyone excited about a Sonic film with Jim?
Not really.
with Jim Carrey as the villain? Yes.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Jim Carrey is playing any character in a Sonic movie is making me interested.
I don't know about you, but
the movie's probably gonna be horrible, but I'm still gonna watch it.
I'm sorry. Jim Carrey can't do a serious villain, and even a comedic one. It's like I don't know about you guys, but I've seen Superman Forever and Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and Jim Carrey in those films don't hold up as very well as a villain.
Wait, hold on. Are you suggesting that Eggman is a serious villain? Have you not seen him in like Sonic Boom or whatever, like the TV series?
I've
like,
seen it.
He's not a serious villain anyway.
Yeah, but I think that no, but here's why I say a serious villain, because they're not referring him as Eggman anymore. They're referring him as Robotnik, which is his serious
Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, which is his series real name. But the problem is that when it comes to Dr. Robotnik, it's only used for serious versions of the character. For example, in Sad AM, they use Dr. Robotnik.
Serious versions of the character. Pay a quotation.
Yeah,
serious. In a game about a blue hedgehog.
His
Yeah.
The
name
blue
in
hedgehog
Japan,
with red
his
shoes.
name in Japan is Eggman, but in the U.S., I guess they thought the name was too goofy, so they named him Robotnik.
Eh.
Fair enough, but can't say I'm interested. Really.
Come on, it's a video game
I hope
movie.
it's a live action. I'm honestly hoping it's
It
live
is,
action,
it
and we
is.
see like this creepy, like realistic Sonic.
Uh, it is live action, by the way.
Well, it's got to be like half live action, half CGI or something. They can't have like some bizarre animatronic looking Sonic. It's going to be like an abomination trying to have like some weird blue coloured. It's got to be live action and sort of like CGI. Surely,
I
it's
can't.
like sort of like how Planet of the Apes is, where it's like seamlessly kind of like blended, But
Planet of the
anyway,
Apes is actually a profitable movie with a high budget. This movie just feels like it's just made on the corner of a corner of a rundown street.
Yeah.
Well, time will tell. When screenshots start coming out of it, then we can really start judging it. But for now, it's just who's attached to a film. So
Yeah,
not really much more we can say about it.
Yeah, and also I'm surprised they're not using the original voice cast for any of the characters. Not even Sonic is voiced by the same character, voice actor, and even the Ratchet and Clank.
Smith.
Yeah, and what's it called? And the Ratchet and Clank film, they used all of the original cast members except for Drek, which is Sylvester Stallone. So it's interesting to see how it works out in the end. I'm just gonna be surprised when it drops the first screenshot of that movie.
I'm going in with negative zero
Expectation.
Yes, I'm going in with just less than zero expectation.
Okay. All right then.
I honestly
now-
expect this movie to do worse than like.
Okay. Well, with our expectations at ground level, so probably the best time to finish the news then and move on to our next segment, guys?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so on to Tricky Trophies, the segment where we look back for our trophy collections at some of the most challenging, rage-inducing gameplay, or just plain boredom and grinding we've had to endure for a single trophy. And guys, I'm going to go first this week, and let me just pull up the page. This trophy is from PlayStation Vita Pets, that Nintendogs-like game that was launched for PS Vita.
What?
I picked this up a year or two. You've not seen PlayStation Vita Pets?
What the heck is? I've
this
never heard of this game. What the heck is this game?
I'm not sure it has a different name in other regions, but it's like Nintendogs, but on PS Vita. Literally the same thing. You have except this time the dog talks like in human language. It has a quite annoying voice, but it's like Nintendogs. You play with a dog and scratch it and bathe it using the touch screen. It's basically literally Nintendogs, but just on PS Vita, made by different developers, and it has a kind of a slight plot to it, like a very, very basic plot. But anyway, you can go out and walk your dog as well. And when you're out walking a dog, it's not like Nintendogs where you're just walking down a generic kind of path in the middle of a public park and you bump into other dogs and such. It's actually like a map, and you go and explore the area. You can go and dig up buried treasure chests which have like costumes for your dog in them. I think like coins, so you can buy stuff on the store, etc., etc. Anyway, it's quite a large area, and you open areas. It's quite a big area to like go in an old castle. You go in I think in a mine. Loads of different environments just to go and explore. Anyway, this particular trophy is called Nose Expert. Sniff and dig all locations. Now, as I said, you go around the map. There's loads of different paths to take, and you sniff with the dog. You tap on the screen. When he gets the scent, it leads off the path sometimes, and you dig it up, and there's a treasure or what have you in it. Now, the problem with this trophy is, for me, is why I had particular trouble with it was, now, I can't remember how many places there are to dig in the game. It's something, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, something like that. I think it's pretty easy, but the problem is the game doesn't tell you. Like, the game doesn't track it very well. And the problem I had with this trophy is this is one of the last ones I got, because the problem lies within the autosave. The game doesn't really tell you when it's saving either. So what I was doing was I was going to the dig spots, digging up my treasures and whatnot, and moving on to the next dig spot. I was using a map that someone created in a guide, so I was ticking them off as I went along. I had them on my iPad, and I was just, scribbling on the on the points that I'd already dug up. Just, I've covered them. But what the problem was is I would dig up a couple and the game wouldn't save. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't tell you when it's saving. So I would dig up a few and I'd be like, oh, right, that's me done for the day. I'm going to go do something else, turn my game off. And what I didn't realize was I was actually turning the game off and it was actually reverting back before I dug up those spots. The game wasn't saving.
What?
So I didn't know. Yeah, so I couldn't keep track of where I was digging up. So I was digging the same spots over and over. I thought when I got to the last one on the map, what I ticked off, I thought, oh, this is it. Where's the trophy? Didn't pop. So I was like, well, I couldn't have missed one. I've ticked off every single one on this map. So I had to go back and basically do them all again and basically in one go to make sure the game definitely was saving. So yeah, it's not really the trophy that's tricky. It's just like you've got to be careful with the game. Basically,
the game is
make
just
sure not
working.
to. See, when I'm done with a game on Vita, I close it, save it if the manual save option is there, and then close the app and put the Vita on sleeps. But so the best way I would recommend is just suspend the game. Don't quit out of the game like I did, because it doesn't tell you that it hasn't saved. It doesn't tell you when it has saved, so you won't know where to dig. The game doesn't tell you you've dug in a spot already, and it doesn't tell you if you haven't dug in that spot already. So yeah, it's the save problem, not the trophy problem. But heed my warning and don't close the game just until you've got this trophy. Keep it running. Anyway, enough of that. B-Tips, what's your tricky trophy?
This is an oldie, but my tricky trophy has to be a guy called Quest in Little Big Planet 3, and it's for completing all the quests in adventure mode in Little Big Planet 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a nightmare to get, because there's a few quests you have to complete with 2 and 4 people, and just trying to find people for some of those quests can be pretty difficult. And apparently, there's also a glitch that is in the game where I think one of the quests can bug out to the point where you have to literally restart your entire progress in the game in order to get it again.
Oh, great.
Exactly.
So I was honestly lucky enough to get it on my first go around. Just trying to get the people for the quest was just a pain in the ass. But as soon as I got this trophy to pop, I just breathed a sigh of relief, because I got past the hurdle, the nightmare-inducing one. So
Yeah.
That sucks.
the only thing I can honestly recommend is just try to find people for the 2-player and the 4-player quests, because you want to get those out of the way as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Oh.
All right then, Vic, how about you?
Okay, mine is a kind of an old story. It comes in the form of Ratchet and Clank 1 on the PlayStation 3. The trophy itself, it's called Ultimate Animal, which is obtaining the Rhino. Now, people who don't play normally Ratchet and Clank, the Rhino is the ultimate weapon that you can obtain at the end of every single Ratchet and Clank game after a New Game Plus, or Challenge Mode. So, here's the thing why I'm saying this is the hardest trophy in this game. To obtain the Rhino, you must first complete the game on your first sitting, and then go back to Ryglar in the next, the New Game Plus, or the restart of the actual game, and you go to Ryglar in order to talk to this salesman, and this salesman will tell you, hey, I got a bunch of a weapon here, which is the ultimate weapon called the Rhino, that you have to pay me exactly 1,500 bolts in order to get it. Now, if you're a Ratchet and Clank average, if you've played a Ratchet and Clank game before, when you go to a challenge mode, you get a bolt multiplier. Here's the thing. There is no bolt multiplier here in Ratchet and Clank 1. This was introduced in the sequel, Going Commando. This said, you basically have to get a bunch of bolts together in order to buy this this monstrosity. And if you're even worse than that, you're probably after the bolt collector trophy as well, which is another pain in the ass. So here's the thing. There is a glitch that makes it so much easier to get the Rhino. but it only requires you to glitch out of the level. Two, do not at any cost break some of the Booker crates in the racing course in Ryglar when you're driving around in the hoverboard. And three, have a gadget, which basically it's like a sonic. It's a shout that you can press at a whim. And it's just a gadget that doesn't have any ammo. It's just an unlimited ammo supply, so you basically just have to hold it in order to press it. So what you do is you go in like in this corner in Ryglar when you're into the races, and you have to glitch out of the wall and fly, or glide in this case, to a platform in the actual like stage where the the hover races are. And there should be like a bunch of crates, one stack on top of each other, which if you go up to a ramp, you can break them. And when you beat the race, it doesn't like respawn again. But if you go into like the glitch mode and go into that platform again, and you equip that sucker out, you can basically get unlimited bolts because the boxes spawn in because you're not actually racing the game, but outside the game. So the game constantly spawns the boxes on top of each other. So you basically like a chain of like boxes going up and down, up and down, up and down. So you press the button and you leave it overnight and have that button hold down. But the problem is that if you're trying to get it...
That makes it sound so easy. Make it sound so straightforward, but it's everyone, basically most people who have platinum this game have probably used this exploit, but it's so hard to get done in one go because you have to use inflatable decoys, this gadget in the game, to push you through the wall, and that can take like 10 minutes to get right. Then when you're out on the ledge outside of the map, because you're not supposed to be out there, you can't really see what you're supposed to stand on. Textures pop in and out all the time because you're not supposed to see this part. You don't know what to stand on, and you've got to get over. You can fall off the ledge really easy, but it does take many attempts. And then, of course, you've got to leave your console on for like 6 to 8 hours to get all of these bolts, and you've got to like rubber band your controller, or if you're like me, I put a metal G clamp on or C clamp, whatever you want to call them, on my controller and left it overnight, like controller plugged in so I didn't run out of battery. Back on PS3, I'm talking about. And the same for Vita as well. I rubber banded the controller just to like keep farming these bolts. It's the quickest way, otherwise you're just playing levels over and over and over again, and that's for the million bolts trophy, not to mention what Bex just said, the right acquiring enough to buy the Rhino for the game. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yes,
absolutely relatable. I know exactly. Done it twice.
Yeah, you can go for a turbo controller to help you, but you have to buy a turbo controller to help you and you have to keep it charging all the time. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're going for this trophy. So, Ultimate Animal, it brings out the beast inside of you. Anyways.
Okay, and on that bad joke, I think we should probably round up the episode. So, guys, let's see where we can all find each other on the internet. So, B-Tips, where are you at?
You can find me at Twitter at GamerBTips.
Vec, where are you?
You can find me on Twitter at DVicTronic. Where can people find you, Daz?
Thank you for asking. You can find me on Twitter at TheDazil. So, guys, thank you very much for listening, joining in. This has been a good episode. I've enjoyed it, a bit of back and forth and such. So, thank you for listening. As always, you can find our episodes on our YouTube channel, The Trophy Trust. Please support us there by subscribing to our future episodes. You can also find updates on our Twitter at The Trophy Trust. There in the profile, you can find the link to the Discord server, this very server we're recording the podcast on. You can come and join the community. You can come listen into the podcast live as we record them and chat along in the chat thread. You can ask us questions and just get involved in the show. If you enjoy the show, why not consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month? We're strictly a non-profit podcast. However, server hosting costs need to be paid to keep all of our episodes available to you. Guys, this has been the Trophy Trust. Keep on hunting, and we'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.